Leah, and I'm a handcrafted lifestyle blogger at leahgriffith.com. One of the things I love about spring is when my dogwood tree bursts into blooms, and I have to admit, I'm a little sad that they're all gone. So today, I'm going to show you how to make a dogwood branch made out of Italian crepe paper. So for this blooming branch, I've made a pattern for you, and you can download this pattern in a link below the video. So go ahead and cut out your pattern, and as you can see, I have 3 petals, 1 leaf, and 1 center. Dogwood can be white, cream, pink, but I'm going to go ahead and make mine in the white crepe paper. I'll make my centers in this pale green, and then the leaves in this dark rich green. As you can see, there's these lines, it says grain lines, and this is going to be the grain of your crepe paper. You're going to want to make for sure that when you cut these out, that you align it with the grain. That's really important to get the right shape. So let's cut these out. I'm going to start with the centerpiece. This is really easy. And then let's make the petals. So we only have 4 petals for each. I have 3 blooms on each branch. I have a larger, a medium, and a bud. I'm going to measure the width of this largest petal and then go ahead and cut a strip of crepe. This just makes it a lot easier to cut out in the long run. Okay, so we need 4 of these. So what I like to do is fold my piece of crepe paper in half right along the grain and then put my pattern on top right at the half mark. That way I can do 1 petal in 1 easy cut. Remember, these patterns are just for a guide. You can vary a little bit. All right, there's 4 of the large one. And now I'm going to go to the medium petal. Okay, these small ones are for the bud that's at the top of the branch. I already cut out 1 of the centers, and I just remembered I need 1 for each flower, so I'm going to go back and cut 2 more. Now I'm going to cut the leaves. And on my branch, I have 8 leaves. You can do less, you can do more. I'm going to go ahead and cut out 8. I may use them all, I may not. We'll see. At least I'll have them. I can always use them on something else too, right? There's 8 leaves. So now we're done cutting the flower petals and the leaves, and we're going to move on and make the branch. And what I'm going to start with is this paper-covered floral wire. And I picked this up at Michael's. You can get it at Joann's or any other craft store. It's pretty simple to find. I'm going to measure about 10 inches. I'm going to bend that completely back to itself. So this part will be the end of the stem. The next piece will be the second stem. We're looking at about 12 inches. Again, I'm just going to bend that back. So I'm going to go about 3 inches, bend that back again. And then the last stem is this long one that holds the bud. And that one is about 5.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to clip it at 5.5 inches. And we have this kind of crazy thing. But what I'm going to do is tape this all together. So in the end, it will look like this. So I have this floral tape, and it's actually in a brown color. And again, you can find this at Michael's or any of your craft supply stores. So I'm just going to start with a small piece. We're going to measure this again. I'm going to go up 6 inches. I'm going to wrap the tape around it. And floral tape, what you want to do is pinch it and tug it to activate the glue, and then just move it around. You'll want to turn it to an angle and move it down the stem, and that way it keeps it moving downwards rather than going around and around in the same spot. So I'm going to cover the whole base of the stem, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to start at the V and pinch and stretch and twist. Now if you want to, you can cover all of this with floral tape. I'm okay with it not being covered. I think it looks fine. So I'm going to finish it off right here. And there's our branch. So let's add some flowers. I'm going to start with these 3 pieces, and this will be the center of our flowers. You can see them right here. Take 1 piece. I'm going to put this piece of paper about halfway. I want it to line up right there and press down. What I'm doing is I'm breaking the grain so that I can fold it. This is a pretty stiff piece of crepe paper, and this makes it just a lot easier. So you can see how nice and clean that fold is. I'm fringing it on the fold side so that the open sides will actually be glued into the center. You want to trim it as close as you can so you can get the smallest fringe as possible. And then you're going to want to leave about at least 1/4 inch on the edge so that it doesn't cut all the way through. So it looks something like this when you're done. So we'll want to do that with the other 2 pieces as well. Last one. All right, I have all 3 cut. I'm going to take my hot glue gun, set on low heat, and inside I'm just going to run a really thin bead of glue. And this is just to hold the 2 pieces together because we're going to end up wrapping this I'm going to put a little tiny bit of glue right on the ends. I'm going to put it on the end of the stem and then just wrap it around. Now we're going to start with the bud, and for that we have these 4 teardrop pieces. The way that I start this out is I'm going to use the edge of my scissors again and hold the center. Now I have to be really careful not to move my thumb out to the edge because it will pull it and stretch it where I don't want it to go. So we're just going to hold the center and pull through so we can start to create this curl. The way we're going to assemble this on the branch is to actually have the curl go inwards. So holding it that direction, I'm going to put just a dab of glue on the tip with the curl going up, and I'll place that on my branch. I'm going to pinch it just a little bit. I'll put this one on the opposite side. Okay, here's all 4. So I'm just going to pull it out to help it curl around the center, and there's the bud. So at the base of the bud, stick actually turns a little bit green, so I'm going to take a small piece of this green floral tape, and starting right at the base, I'm going to stretch it and activate the glue and just wrap it 1 layer. I'm not going to bring it down the branch, just 1 layer wide right there, just to give a little bit more of a finished look. So it looks like this. Okay, now we're going to do the second bloom, which is the medium size. I'm going to do the same thing. Open up my scissors and curl the petal. I'm going to add just a row of glue right here, and then give it just a little bit of a pinch because I want to have a crease down the middle there, but I'm not going to pinch it until I get it onto the branch. I'll do the same thing with the floral tape. Just take a little piece and then go into the base and just wrap it in 1 layer around. Now we're ready for the third. And remember, on the blooms, you want the petals to go outward and open, where the bud, it goes inward. And now I'm going to add the leaves. The way that I like to attach them is just to add a little bit of glue and then put them onto the side of the wire and sort of give them a little bit of a pinch. This tape is so waxy that the hot glue doesn't stick to it very well, so you really do need to add just a little bit more of this floral tape over the top of the end of the leaf so that they don't fall off. Okay, that looks really good. So you can see how the fold and the bend out gives it a little extra 3-dimension. And now I'm just going to maybe adjust and pull and just sort of arrange each leaf so it looks just exactly the way I want it to. And here you go. So there's one last touch that we can do for this. It's up to you, it's an option. I'm going to get out my watercolor paints. We're going to mix up just a little tiny bit of brown paint. You can use watercolor paint, you can also use acrylic paint. I would say just make sure it's really watery. And I just want a little bit of brown. And I'm going to go in here and just add a little bit of that color right into this section. If you look at a dogwood close-up, they usually have these little ends tipped in this brown color. You don't want much, just a little tiny bit. And I'm only going to add it to the open blooms, not to the bud, because they haven't matured yet, so they don't have that brown color. I'm going to add this branch into my arrangement here, and this will go in the center of my dining table. And you could do a whole row of these for a party. You can use these in a wreath. To make a wreath, you can just have one stem and give it as a gift. The sky's the limit on these things. And this is a great way to add a little bit of spring to your room all year round.